The Lord be with you. We have entered into the great 3 days, the holiest time of the church year. It begins with Maundy Thursday, the day that Jesus celebrates the Passover with his disciples. He washes their feet, shares a meal, prays and sings with them, and then they go to the garden where he is arrested. On Friday, the story begins with the trial of Jesus, his carrying the cross through the streets of Jerusalem, and then his crucifixion and his death. On Saturday, the last day of the 3 days, we sit and we wait. I am going to read to you a rendition of this story written by James Weldon Johnson and recorded in a book that he wrote called God's Trombones. The Crucifixion by James Weldon Johnson. Jesus, my gentle Jesus, walking in the dark garden, the Garden of Gethsemane, saying to the 3 disciples, "Sorrow is in my soul, even unto death. Stay with me here a little while, and watch with me." Jesus, my burdened Jesus, praying in the dark garden, the Garden of Gethsemane, saying, "Father, O Father, this bitter cup, let it pass from me." Jesus, my sorrowing Jesus, the sweat like drops of blood upon his brow, talking with his Father, while the 3 disciples slept, saying, "Father, not as I will, but let thy will be done." Look at the tormented Judas, sneaking through the dark of the garden, leading his crucifying mob. "Oh God, strike him down. Why don't you strike him down before he plants his traitor's kiss upon my Jesus' cheek?" And they take my blameless Jesus, and they drag him to the governor, to the mighty Roman governor. Great Pilate seated in his hall, great Pilate on his judgment seat. He said, "In this man I find no fault. I find no fault." And Pilate washed his hands. But the mob cried out, saying, "Crucify him, crucify him. His blood be on our heads." And they beat my loving Jesus. They spit on my precious Jesus. They dressed him up in a purple robe, and they put a crown of thorns upon his head, and they pressed it down. And they mocked my sweet King Jesus. Up Golgotha's rugged road, I see my Jesus go. I see him sink beneath the load. I see my drooping Jesus sink. And then they laid hold on Simon. They put the cross on Simon, and Simon bore the cross. On Calvary, they crucified my Jesus. They nailed him to the cruel tree, and the hammer rang through Jerusalem's streets. The hammer rang through Jerusalem. And Jesus, my lamb-like Jesus, shivering as the nails go through his hands, shivering as the nails go through his feet, groaning as the Roman spear plunged into his side. Jesus, my darling Jesus, groaning as the blood came spurting from his wound. Look at what's been done to my Jesus. Mary, weeping Mary, sees her poor little Jesus on the cross, sees her sweet baby Jesus on that cruel cross, hanging between two thieves. And Jesus, my lonesome Jesus, called out once more to his Father, saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? And he drooped his head and died. The veil of the temple was split in two. The midday sun refused to shine. The thunder rambled and the lightning wrote an unknown language in the sky. What a day when my blessed Jesus died. Oh, I tremble. Yes, I tremble. It causes me to tremble when I think how Jesus died on the steeps of Calvary, how Jesus died for sinners like you and like me.